Let's do this. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Hey y'all, hey, it's another episode of Bonafide Her Podcast featuring the one and only Adrianna Brown. Me, 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 me.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
Of course, because girl, I have to have one of my beautiful ballers family in the guest in the room now because it's been a while and we gotta let the folks know where we came from, where they're at and everything. So
where it all started.
So, girl, you gotta get started. So, Miss Adriana, can you tell us your sports story and how you got to where you are?
Yes. So I started playing basketball when I was about 8 years old. It was the only sport that I played my entire life. I ended up, so I obviously played in high school. And then from high school, I went to college. I played 3 years in college. And then I ended up getting pregnant with my daughter, having my baby, and then coaching for 4 years. So I coached for 4 years, and then that's kind of when everything started with Beautiful Ballers and social media and things like that. And it just kind of went from there.
Girl, it just blossomed into just so many ventures that even it still revolves around the sport of basketball and other things. So, and you being a mom at an early age, like for you, so what was that like having to balance, basketball and motherhood all at once during the time when you were all that stuff?
I always say, like, that's honestly been my truest and biggest accomplishment was during that time when I had just had my daughter. I was working a full-time job. I was also coaching part-time, which, if you know, coaching is not a part-time job. It is another full-time job. And I was in school at the time, so I was finishing my degree. So there was so much going on, and it was truly like the hardest time of my life. Like, it was insane, but I made it. And so it was just like, it took a lot of, honestly, it was my support system that helped me. My family was super supportive. They were there for me. They helped me with my daughter a lot. So that's literally the only way I got through that.
Cause girl, that is your twin right there. I'm like, dang, that's little Adri right there.
Yes, and especially because she's older now, I see so much more of me in her. Because I don't know, when they're growing up, they're just like kids, they're just babies. But now she's like, I can have not adult conversations, but like I can have like grown up conversations with her. It's like, wow, you're really a big girl.
So, you went from coaching too. So, what was the transition like from being a college athlete to the coaching? Was the transition kind of easy, or was it just kind of like it was just? How would you describe it?
For me, I loved it just because I was always, my IQ for the game was always a lot more elevated than a lot of the team, like my teammates and stuff like that. So I always understood the game a little differently. So it wasn't a difficult transition, but it kept me close to the game. So it was like, I was still so passionate about, playing and being active, and even like getting the girls, a lot of the girls that we were coaching at the time were, they ended up going to college and going on to play. So telling them my story and giving them my insight and helping them achieve their goals, like that, honestly, I can say the one job that I wish paid enough, because I absolutely would go back and do that.
Cause man, like the coaches, they don't get paid a lot, especially if you're especially with the girls level, like say the high school to middle school. It's like almost feels like a volunteer position, but it's like it's a job because you're putting on your energy onto something that A, you love, and B, you want to see the people that you're coaching succeed and do their best. So hey, I love y'all.
Yeah, I got offered a college position when it was like right going into COVID. However, with the traveling and stuff like that, like it just wasn't going to work out with my daughter. So
Would you say like, you know, your daughter is like the main motivation with everything? Like she's the one that like the rock for you.
Oh, 100%. I literally say all the time, like, she saved my life. Like, I used to pray to God, like, oh my God, like, please, show me true love, or like give me. I used to crave that. I used to want that so bad. It's like, God, show me what true love is. Like, put someone in my life that is real love. And then I got pregnant with her, and I'm like, this is the best love I've ever felt in my life. Like, this is exactly what I needed. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was at the lowest point in my life, and she literally saved it. So everything I do, I'm like centered around being a mom and doing for her. So yes,
Girl, shout out to you, because shout
thank
out to you for real.
you.
And you know, and it's crazy because we met through in ways like we connected through Beautiful Ballers, but it was like almost like we were in the same group chat, but like we never got a chance to like actual speak. And the first time
Hmm.
we actually spoke was like, I was like, I would love to do an article on you, because I was not still write for Beautiful Ballers. So I was like, I gotta
Hmm.
do an article on her, because she's like been one of the, you know, the one of the OGs of like
Hmm.
Beautiful Ballers. Like, so how did you get introduced to Beautiful Ballers, and what was that like with the connection with Beautiful Ballers, and how it kind of like in ways changed your life?
Yeah, that so when I was in college, mostly it was pretty much started in college, I think, is when Beautiful Ballers really like started to, do its thing. But they would just post me all the time. And so it was just like, okay, like cool. Like that was a huge I went viral a lot, like in my college days, on the Beautiful Ballers page. So after when I got pregnant and whatever, I was still getting posted, but I was always like messaging like, oh, I don't play anymore. And he's just like, I don't care. Like, I'm still gonna post you. I'm like, okay, like whatever. And then he finally had reached out and was like, hey, like I'm looking to like take this to the next level. Like, would you want to be a part of it? Like, da, da, da. And I was like, yeah, like I would love to. And so he offered me the position to interview for, and I interviewed like some athletes and stuff like that, for the Beautiful Ballers YouTube channel. So,
Yes, because I remember you did like a couple guests there, and
mhm.
it was during the and it was crazy. It was still during COVID, and when you
Yeah.
had like, a couple guests on the, and it was live on the Instagram
Hmm.
live,
Instagram Live. Yes. Yeah.
because
Those are the
Instagram
days.
Live was popping during that time in COVID, where
Hmm.
everybody could do nothing. It's like, oh, what we gonna do now? So
Yes. Yes. That's so crazy. I forgot about that.
it was like, I'll tell you, it was, but it started. But the thing is, a lot of people like the group, like the brand, like just it felt like a family, because it's like, yeah, we have like everybody was at different places, but you can like always kind of jump different ideas, and you always
Mhm.
had like, hey, I know we so separate, it's like in different countries, different cities, but hey, look,
Mhm.
you can always talk and stuff. But it was, and you get like people asking you like, "Hey, can you post me? Can you get somebody to tell like post me
Mhm.
and stuff?" All
Yeah,
those type of questions.
of course, all the time. Not so
Girl,
much now, but like back then, yeah, I did. Especially when I was like with Beautiful Ballers more. I would get asked that all the time. So even like men wanted to be on the page.
girl, they
Yeah.
had the handsome ballers,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah. I ran that page. So I ran that page, but we started that page because the men wanted to be on the Beautiful Ballers page. And we were like, no. So we were like, okay, we're going to make a men's thing. And so we did that. And I ran that for years, but it was just not as lucrative as the women's page. I feel like there's so
girl,
many different pages of men, male athletes. It just didn't hit the same.
yes, because it was crazy. Because it's like I remember somebody like, "Hey," they're like, "Hey, can you put me on to handsome balls?" Like, I could tag you. I don't run the page.
Yeah.
So I was like, but it was always whoever. I was like, whoever's posting these players, the handsome ballers, like, give them a raise, because I was enjoying, especially the hoopers. I
It
was like,
was,
okay,
yeah.
yes,
I ran that page solely. So it was all
girl.
me.
Get that raise. I actually missed that low key. I missed that page because I would have been like all the handsome people that I know, the athletes. I would like, you know what?
Yeah.
Just send them your way.
Yeah. They loved it. They loved it.
Cause it was, like there's a couple times I still get asked like, "Hey, how do I get in contact with this?" Or can you like? I'm like, look, I write for them. It's like I write for them, and I love writing for them because that's my baby. Like that's
Mhm.
love it. But I always say the best thing for them is to at beautiful ballers and then
Mhm.
hashtag beautiful ballers, and they will notice that. That's
Yeah.
all it is.
Yeah.
It's just, so, but my question for you is, and I remember doing an article on you, and the biggest thing for you is like you find your niche. Would you say that is one of the biggest advice you would give to the people that's looking to branch out or find like their talent and everything?
Yeah, I feel like I truthfully am still trying to find mine. Like I I have so many different avenues that it's hard to just stick to one thing. But I have found that when you do find your niche, um, you know, yeah, just stick with it and be consistent. That's like the biggest thing is like being consistent. But finding your niche is probably the hardest. Because especially when people like, I mean, yeah, I do so many different things. I work, I'm a mom, I am in the sports world. There I have a personal life, I have my home life. There's so many things that I travel. So it's just like to put all of that in like one basket. It's like, okay, like what are you doing? Especially for brands that like, I'm still technically like a smaller influencer. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a lot of these brands don't know what I have going on or what I had going on, and having to like put that out there as if they should know who I am. It's like it's kind of hard to be like, yeah, I do this, and this. And they're gonna be like, okay, well, hold on, you know. So it is hard to find like your niche, and but once you do, I feel like you stick with it, and it ends up working out for a lot of people.
Yes, girl, because you are a woman of multi talent for real. Like, a player, a coach, a fabulous mom. Like I said, shout out to you because like what you are doing is amazing. And you a personal trainer. You got your own app, fitness app. We gotta talk about that because girl,
Yes.
body, yaddy, yaddy. Can you like explain like how you got started with the body app and just the whole like the origin story of the personal training and everything?
Yeah, so I think truly like during COVID was, obviously we were all working out like at home and in our garages and things like that. We were all trying to figure it out. But I would work out every day, and everyone was always asking me like, what are your workouts? Can you post your workouts? Can you post your workouts? And I'm like, I just didn't feel comfortable like really doing that yet. So I'm like, oh, like I don't know how, I don't know what to do. I don't know like how to put it together. And so I'm like, no, I got to teach myself, because once I learn everything, like that's when I'll be able to like give the best advice and even just see like better results on myself. So I started going to school for it. I ended up getting my license, and then I was like, I think someone had gave me the idea like you should start an app, and then people just subscribe to it, and you can just post the workouts there. And I'm like, oh my god, that makes perfect sense. So once I moved to Vegas was when I really like launched everything, and I like full force was like, okay, I was working in the industry at the time, and so I was working at a nightclub, and I felt like that was like my investment to really like take myself out of that. So that's kind of how that started, and then from there I was like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. So it was kind of just faith. I was like, oh, let me just try something. So yeah.
It's like they took a leap of faith right there.
For sure, for sure.
Sometimes you got to bet on yourself at times, especially if you know, like, you have this idea and you see it and you do it and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna go for it, and then bam,
Yeah.
like,
No, literally, that's exactly how it happened. But yeah, it's good.
girl. And I still, first of all, I love the pictures you did for it was National Women's and Girls Sports Day, and I love the pictures that you did, the collages of it. Especially like I remember the one iconic. I always say it's so iconic to me is the one where you had the Showtime Lakers, and it was when they had the when it was the winning time one.
Oh
How did
yeah,
that?
with HBO Max.
Yes, how did that
Yeah.
happen?
Honestly, Alexis had reached out to me about that collab, and they had just reached out and flew me out to LA to be a part of it, and it was so much fun. We met so many people. Like, it was such a good experience. They brought in like a bunch of like NBA trainers that actually trained the people that were in, winning Showtime. Um, so it was really cool. It was a really cool experience. It was fun. Met a lot of people, and I would love to do that again. It was really dope.
Girl, you better speak that into existence. So like, please do, like, just speak
I
it
would
into.
love HBO Max if you're seeing this. Please.
So my question for you is how when it comes to women's sports, how
Mhm.
important is representation?
How important is what?
How important when it comes to women's sports, how important is representation in women's sports?
I mean, it's huge. I feel like that is, I mean, truly the reason why it's grown as much as it has to this point. Um, yeah, I just feel like a lot of the women, obviously, like the Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark and everyone, they're doing a great job at representing not only just in the sport, but outside of it, the things that they're doing on the outside. They always are bringing it back to, their sport and basketball and things like that. So even in other sports too, I mean, I'm not too locked in with a lot of, the other sports, but just seeing what they're doing with like the WNBA and like even college juju, I think that's making a huge difference in the way the world sees women's basketball, let alone like women's sports in general. So
Who do you see winning the whole championship for women's this year? Who was
oh,
your floor pick?
I'm I'm going for UCLA. So when I was coaching, my boy Deli, he is one of the coaches at UCLA. I mean, not UCLA, USC. I'm sorry, USC, USC, USC. And so he coaches over there, and I've been like rooting for them the whole time. So I'm excited to see what they can do.
Girl, it's gonna be a battle for the USC's next
I
year with
know,
South
I
Carolina
know,
and Southern Cal. So
I know. I'm excited though. I feel like it's gonna be really good this year for sure.
So with you mentioned Juju, like especially like a lot of people are now talking about her, but it's like, why did y'all not talk a little bit more about her when she was hitting 51 points in her freshman year? So
Hmm.
do you hope to see more like say media personalities or people that say like, oh, we love women's sports, but they really cover like only a section of it? Do you hope to see more like exposure of women's sports being talked about than just that one like player that always gets talked about, if that makes sense?
Yeah. I think it's coming. Um, but truly it's gonna take us getting also like more women into those fields, because the men just they're not gonna do it like the women do. The women are really gonna represent for the women ultimately. But so getting more women into those spaces, and I think that a lot of I mean, at least from what I've seen, like the women, um, the personalities and stuff on these shows, they're talking a lot about the other women, but it's the men that like we need to get on like the bigger networks that are going to talk about, these up and coming female athletes. So but it's coming. I'm sure it's coming. It has to, because you can't ignore the fact of what's happening with just the WNBA, and I mean even with Juju, like it's literally insane. So we'll see.
Cause girl, like you have the like I know in ESPN you have like Andrea, and I feel bad for if I butcher her name. I'm so sorry, Chini. Like the three
Okay.
ladies that come out on ESPN, they talk about it like the women's sports on they talk about it the WNBA and the women's college basketball,
Hmm.
but it's like those are the three core women you see, and then you have the other networks that have the women like that talk about the women's sports in like the respective conferences. But if, like you said, if they can get more women in those fields where they
Yeah.
strictly talk about it, like we dominated,
Yeah.
like it is coming, y'all. It's coming.
I think it is. I hope it is, because you can't ignore that. That girl is killing it. So
Girl, she might as well be national at. She got a chance, a good chance to be national player of the year, but it's a
mhm.
lot of good contenders so far this year with.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the game too is getting a lot, like it's just changing the way that even her opponents are playing, you know? Um, so athletes like that definitely change the game for sure.
What's your intake about the NIL? Because I believe if the NIL had happened during your time, girl, the bank would be banking right there. So, what's your intake about the NIL?
We need a refund. Bring us all the money that we should have earned. We need all of that. Oh man, I say that all the time. I'm like, man, if we were getting those deals back when obviously I was in college and when social media really started like launching, oh, it would have been crazy. It would have been crazy. But I'm super excited for these girls, like because they're seeing money, they're changing their families' lives before they even really become adults, and that's crazy. So I'm happy for them. I think it's really dope. So
Girl, like you said, run that check right now. I need a.
please, please.
It's like, you know how long we've been working in this college right
I
now? We,
know. I know.
because I feel like there's some people that don't understand how like the the daily life of being a college athlete have like the scheduling, like getting up
Insane.
at 5 in the morning to do workouts, and then like
Insane.
probably coming home till like or resting till like 9 or 10 at night. So
Mhm. It's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, and you know what? I always say too, like at when I was in college, I wanted to be put in like the easiest degree because I'm like, I'm doing so much. Like there's no way. I mean, it was possible for me, but most of the athletes that were in school at the time were like, yo, just put me in the easiest degree. Give me a communications degree. That was my degree. And it was just like, I wish I would have went to college for something like more important, like law school or something. But it's just like our overload. People don't realize like the overload of what we're doing. We're going to practice, we're lifting weights, we got to eat so much, we're still trying to have a social life, we're still trying to do these things, but it just boils. And then on top of homework, going to class, like that's a lot. It's a lot. So
and, and it literally takes a toll on mental health, which I literally tell a lot of people how athletes are humans first. Like
mhm.
you have to understand that athletes are human first. So,
Yeah.
and this leads to my question is like, as a black woman and a former college athlete, but also like an athlete overall with you being a personal trainer, how important is mental health?
Number one, mental health is, but I'm always going to be an advocate for that. I struggled so much with like when my dad passed when I was younger, and so like since then I struggled with just like depression and anxiety and things like that. And so I've always had like I've always been like, no, like I have to, fight for myself, and I have to be an advocate for myself. And so now that I've like kind of got that under control, it's like I'm always going to push for everyone else to go to therapy. It's important. I think everybody should go, even if you don't think you have any problems. Go, like it's super important. So I think it's top tier. It should be number one priority for everybody.
For sure, because like just you know back in the day, I know like with so many schools and everything, like there used to be so many cases where student athletes would like you would hear so many student athletes that would have mental health
Yeah.
issues, and it would lead to like something bad happening, and then all of a sudden, like all the schools, like, hey, if you need someone to talk to, like, why weren't you doing this when this
Before.
person actually, yes,
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're doing a better job at things like that though. Like, it wasn't like that when I was in school at all. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody was like, go to therapy in school. Like when I was in college, like it was like not a thing. Um, I think I really have taught myself that because even still, like I don't, my family, they've never been to therapy. Like, the people around, a lot of the people around me or that I grew up around weren't, pushing me to go to therapy or suggesting for me to go to therapy. It was like, I was like, okay, what can I do? I got to a point, honestly, when I first started going to therapy, was that it was something I had never tried. So I'm like, what can what can I lose at this point? Let's just try it. And it ended up like being the best thing for me and changed my life. So yeah.
girl, at I, sometimes vulnerability is the essential to bringing joy. To be
Hmm.
honest, because you know it's hard being vulnerable because a
Yeah.
lot of people, it's like, oh, how do I? But it's like, look, sometimes you gotta spill it out, and then at the
Hmm.
same time, your soul be released. But like, oh, everything, and you be finding the right people that be there for you too. So,
Yeah, for sure.
but my question for you is, and who would you say were some of like the players or athletes that you looked up to, or that kind of like say that made you really love the game so much that you wanted to continue to build that passion around?
Okay, so this is crazy because I actually just saw this person last summer and I was like, I was literally fangirling over her. But my number one player that I tried to mirror my game just like was Breon January. So at the time, Breon January was going to ASU, Arizona State. And I was in high school at the time when she was in college. And so we would go to a lot of like the Arizona State games and we would watch. And, our team in high school, we were big on defense. We were state contending team. We were like number 1 and 2 in state at that time. And so we were very keen on like defense. And every game we watched, like she was just a dog on the defensive end. Like she was great offensively, but she was so good on the defensive end. So I would always try to like mirror my game to match hers and be just like her and like whatever. So fast forward to just last summer, like I kind of kept up with her a little bit, and I know she went to the W and like all of that. And then that last summer, I was in New York and I was at a basketball game at the Liberty game. And I'm looking and I'm like, I know that is not Breon January over there coaching. Coaching. She was coaching. And I was like, oh my God, that is her. I was literally, the game is going on and I'm literally like recording her. I'm like, oh my God, it's Breon January over there. But yeah, I would definitely say her. Like she's my goat. I love her.
Oh, I haven't heard that name in so long. Like,
She a OG. Love her.
it is crazy because like I feel like she's one of those players that's underappreciated, that does not get talked about enough. Like, you're talking
Mhm.
about really a dog player. She is a dog. Like,
Yes.
and like there's like, you know,
I love her.
and my question is, do you hope to see like say more male athletes support the women game, like Kobe did when he was
Mhm.
actually, Kobe was the to me Kobe is was the GOAT in advocating for women's sports. Do you hope to see more
Mhm.
male athletes following his path?
Yeah, I think too, I'm not gonna hold you like every every W game that I've been to, I always see a male professional athlete somewhere in the building. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's getting better because it got to I remember back in the day when I was going to WNBA games, nobody was sitting courtside. Nobody was doing that. Like nobody was, like it was almost like embarrassing to go to a WNBA game. You know what I'm saying? Like now, like people are posting like, yeah, I'm at the WNBA game. Like, we have these NBA players wearing the women's shoes. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's definitely changing. Um, but yeah, I think, I mean, they could do a better job at like talking about it, getting it, making it cool, like making it fun. Take your sons to WNBA games, okay?
I'm saying, like, if Bam can wear his girlfriend's shoes in
Yes.
a
Hello.
game, like, I
Yes.
mean,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, and then I mean, women got some shoe style too. I mean, we know. I mean,
Yeah.
even guys have been wearing, even some of the NBA players been wearing Sabrina shoes. So I'm
Hmm.
like, it's Stewie shoes. So I'm like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
yeah, just
I think it's gonna get better. Like it's just gonna, I think it's only gonna grow more, and especially the way that the women are playing. Like the women are doing great. And I love, oh my gosh, the Unrivaled. So I went to the Unrivaled tournament this just what, a couple weeks ago in Miami, and that was even so cool too to be. I'm like, they should have done this a long time ago. Like that's something that even like the men's side is not doing, and that would be, it's just, it changes the game entirely. It was so competitive, like even just the fans in there and like the environment that they put it in, like 10 out of 10, they did such a good job on that. So I think that once they're doing like more things like that, and it's going to bring more hype to the women's side.
absolutely. And Brianna Stewart and Nafisa Collier did a amazing job with that. As they were the ones that like came up with it, and then even between like the 3-on-3, they had their whole like the 1-on-1 Queen of the Court thing.
Yes, I love that. Was love it.
And I think now, supposedly, some of the guys from the NBA want to do it. It's like, well,
Hmm.
you could
I literally, I was so surprised that they had never did something like that. That was, it's fire. It was fire to see. So, but
absolutely
also, you know what? It's hard because like you can tell the women play so much harder because they still are like trying to earn more. You know what I'm saying? Like these guys in the NBA, they're making so much money. Like they don't have to do that. They're like, I'm good. You know, I got my 100 million contract. Like I'm cool. I don't need to go play one on one with. They don't care. So it's like
right.
I also think that too is the reason why the ratings for the NBA are kind of down right now, because it's just like, what are, like, these guys don't care anymore. Like we are signing these guys to 5 year to $100 million contracts. It's like, bruh, please. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just, there's no passion in the game over there
Some
anymore.
of them don't. It's like you could tell if they love the game, like it's the essence of
Mhm.
the game, or they just really love the lifestyle of the game. Because
Oh,
there's
for
a
sure.
difference.
Hmm.
So, and then you have some players that are so injury prone. So it's like they low management taking up space for the next person.
Yeah.
And it was just like that for the All-Star game where like a couple people they were hurt, but they knew they weren't gonna play. So they're
Hmm.
like, oh, I'm not gonna play. So it's like they just took two spots from the next two players that should have been All-Stars on
Yeah.
this year. So it's like there's a reason why it's kind of dwindling down, like
Yeah.
you know. But I mean, Unrivaled, the women in Unrivaled, they're getting paid way more than their own
Yes.
like WNBA.
Yes.
So and
Yes.
I gotta pose this question to you about this because somebody asked me this question. I need to pose this to you. Is somebody had asked me like, why isn't there a WNBA team in every like city, like all the cities that has the NBA teams? Why isn't there any WNBA team in the cities that NBA teams have?
I think that it's hard for them to fund. You know what I'm saying? Like they have to have obviously like the right investors and things like that. I know they just started a new team. Where was it? They just started a new WNBA team somewhere. I forgot where, but whatever.
They in
Um,
Toronto.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, Toronto. And I just think it's the funding. Like it's, the WNBA is not profiting any money right now. Like we're still down. We're not we're not making any money. So it's just like I don't think it made sense at that time, but I think it's, again, like it's going to grow in the coming years for sure. And
Yeah,
hopefully would be great. I mean, Vegas doesn't have an NBA team. We have a WNBA team, but that when the WNBA, when the Aces are playing, it is lit in there, okay? Because we don't have an NBA team. So it's like when people are coming to these games, like my first Aces game, I was like, oh, this is crazy. Like this is, it's a big deal out here. But I think it's just because that, we don't have that NBA factor to it. So it helps us.
Yeah, because somebody was saying, Vegas don't have an NBA. I'm like, no, no, no. They don't. Aces got it. And plus, Aces, the people that own Aces is also the owner of the Raiders. So, of course,
Mm-hmm.
the Raiders and Aces, they're going to make sure to come to their games. So, it's
Yeah.
like, and like the Aces games, like already their tickets are sold out. So, it's like every
Mm-hmm.
year you see how the impact of certain players make the huge impact. Like, yes, Caitlin Clark made the huge effect in
Mm-hmm.
the WNBA growing, but you can't just solely put that on her. Like if you saw the draft from last year, like
Mm-hmm.
it was like bedazzle. Yeah, bedazzle. I say it was like you had Angel Reese, you had Cameron Brink, which
Mm-hmm.
if Cameron Brink had continued to play and not got hurt, I think she would have had a run for the money for Rookie of the Year. You had
Mm-hmm.
Rakia Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
You had so many players that actually helped elevated that season. So,
Mm-hmm.
but folks don't want that conversation. Ain't ready for that conversation.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm just saying, it's like some folks ain't ready for certain conversations. I get it though. I get it, but I'll clock
They're
it for
not.
you. So
That's funny.
so my question for you is how would you describe your journey?
Whew, how would I describe my journey? I would say it's been a roller coaster. It has been a roller coaster. It's up and then it's down. I'm still, I feel like, trying to figure out, like, my thing is, like, I'm always trying to find something new to do and something different. So I'm always, yeah, it's like in learning anything, you're gonna have high moments, you're gonna have low moments, you're gonna have teaching moments, and those, it's hard. But I would definitely say from where I started, it hasn't been, yeah, it hasn't been like a straight guide to the top, like, and I still am not there. Um, but it has been gradual to where I'm definitely in a completely different place that I was in, like when I first started. So, yes, ma'am.
Girl, and you doing a fabulous job. I was gonna say you're doing the damn thing, but
Thank
I have to
you.
keep it cute. But
I'm trying. I'm trying.
girl, you
It's a
ain't got to
lot.
try. You're doing it. You're doing it. So
I'm I'm trying. It's a lot. On top, my day to day and all of that, on top of like just being a mom, it's a lot, but it becomes like, second nature to me. So it's like, okay, it's just what I do. But when I sit back and I'm like, oh my God, like I need to like relax for a second. Um, it's a lot, but I'm grateful for my journey for sure.
yes, because the biggest thing I would say to like, and you know, correct me if I'm wrong, and I learned this was to give yourself grace because
Hmm.
everything it may come fast, but sometimes you got to give yourself grace and celebrate you because it's not and celebrate you not only for what you are doing and what you accomplished but because of who you are. Like you
Hmm.
one of one, girl. You a once in a lifetime. That's why I say it's like I ain't just one of a kind. I'm once in a lifetime. You ain't never gonna find another me. Yeah.
Right. Period. Yeah. No.
So
No. No. I'm grateful. It's been a journey, but I know like this isn't. I haven't even reached the points of where I'm trying to go. So there's more. It's coming.
girl. And I just, in honor of Women's History Month, I just wanted to give you my flowers to you because, like, the growth you have been doing,
Thank you.
like, I've seen the growth you have from, like I said, from the beautiful ballers days to like now, like just you a mom entrepreneur, like you more than just entrepreneur, you a mom, you do everything. So it's like multifaceted, just everything, and you holding it down. Just you doing so many things that is really impactful. And I think give yourself your flowers, give yourself the credit that is so well deserved, that's way overdue. Because girl, like
Thank
I said,
you.
you doing the damn thing, and I need you to know how beautiful you are, both inside and out. I just want you.
Thank
I want
you,
to give you your
girl.
flowers, girl. So,
Thank you. I really, really appreciate it. Truly.
girl, I got you. So, hey, empower women, be empowering women, because we need some more empowering women.
Yes, we do. Period.
So I always ask my guests this question, and bona fide means authentic and unique. So, what
Hmm.
makes Miss Adrianna Brown bona fide, and what makes your story stands out?
Who? Um, what makes my story stand out? I think honestly, I don't know. Like I don't really tell my story too much. I don't really talk about like how it was for me or like what I went through and things like that. So I really try to I really try I don't know, girl. I really try to keep it very much off of the internet. Not in like a bad way. I kind of just talked about this recently, with my grandfather just passed, and like just with my dad's passing and things like that. Like I never really thought that like my story mattered. So I really did never took the time to tell people like what happened with, my dad's passing or with my family situation or I just didn't think it was important until I like came out and like started talking about it, and it was like, oh, people were really like resonating with what was happening to me. That's when I kind of knew like, okay, like I can feel comfortable like kind of being a little vulnerable on the internet. But I don't know. I really truly try to just be myself. I really try to be very authentic to me and who I am, and you know, have morals and code that I live by. And that's truly it. I just am truly myself.
Cause girl, yes, you slay all day, every day.
Thank you. Thank you. I try.
Slay all day, every day. Cause and I felt that for like you felt like your story, it wasn't, you felt like you didn't have like what's the point of telling your story. But I feel like everybody, there's a point, you have a story. That's why I
Yeah.
always said, like, I feel like you have an amazing story. You're, like I said, like the growth you have gone, like just everything, your journey, like there's a
Mhm.
reason why I always love to hear everybody else's story. To me, I love to hear everybody
Mhm.
else's stories, because there's inspiration behind it, and
Yes.
you never know what type of impact it can make. And
Yes.
inspiration is one of the greatest blessings and gifts you could give to someone.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it was, I feel like for a long time I was just scared to be judged, like especially on the internet. I'm like, ooh, it's a tough crowd over there, you know? But once I had posted, my grandfather had passed in November. And so I had posted like an article of when my dad had passed, because I found it in my grandpa's house or whatever. And when I had found that article, I had just posted it. Just honestly, I kind of like like I don't know, I not blacked out, but like I kind of just like posted it and then like forgot about it. And I was just like, I was going through like my grandpa's house, and I'm just like, oh my god, like whatever. I'm just gonna post this and go about my business. So I continue doing everything, and the next thing you know, I go back and I'm like, oh my, I had hundreds of messages, girl, hundreds. And I'm like, oh my God, like, what did I just do? Oh my, instantly, my instant thought was like, I shouldn't have posted that. When I start going through the messages, people are like, wow, this is so inspiring. I didn't know this about you. I have my best friends like, yo, I did not know that this happened. I did not know that you went through that. Like, why do you not talk about this more often? And I don't know. It was just like my fear of like being judged, and um, not knowing that people would find that interesting or inspiring. Um, So I'm glad I did. I'm glad I finally, like, I made a little video about it and was just like, this is what happened. Like, this is, kind of explaining my story. And I'm glad I did, because now I feel like people understand me a little more than before. It all makes sense now. So
Girl, I definitely got to tell you something after this, because I felt that right there for real. Because
yes.
I definitely need your input on something after this.
Oh,
So,
please.
but
I'm here.
so where and how people can support and find you, and if there's any upcoming events, girl.
People can find me on all social media platforms at Two Shots of Adri, which is right there. Um, I any new events that I have coming up, I'm not making any appearances anywhere anytime soon. I am a cheer mom right now. I am in cheer mom mode. But I do plan to tap into like the WNBA season and things like that. So yeah, that's about it.
Y'all heard it from the queen first. Y'all better follow her at Two Shots of Adri. Two shots,
Yeah.
basketball shots, y'all. Two
Yes.
shots of Adri. Free throw shots. Two shots.
Yes.
Shoot or shoot. Shoot or
Yeah.
shoot.
Every
So
time.
every time. So thank you guys for tuning in to episode 117 of Bonafide, her podcast. And big shout out to Miss Adrianna Brown for coming
Thank
in and sharing your
you. Thank you
story.
so much for having me. I'm so glad that I got to do this.
Of course, girl, you always here, and I definitely love to have you back, girl. So big shout out to everybody that tuned in. You can check out the live replay of episode 117 after this. Peace.